FM in DeWitt County, and now on 106.5 FM in Logan County, and on the WHOW app. AgriTalk on WHOW.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Top of the morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube. It's brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. My guest in studio today is Breann Titus, Director of Agency Development for Community Action of Central Illinois. Good morning, Breann.
Good morning, Seth.
Welcome to fall. We get into September and it actually feels like September.
I know. When I walked in the door, I caught Jared there and I said, man, it didn't get as warm this week as it had told everybody that it was going to get. I'm a summer girl at heart, but that last heat wave, I was like, this is not the kind of summer that I enjoy. So I was kind of waiting for like the 70s, low 80s thing. And I know people are ready for even cooler weather, but I'm not there yet.
We never really had that because you know how you get the adjustment period in the summertime where it gradually gets to 90 and then you have that long stretch of it's just muggy and hot.
Yes.
So by the time you get there, you're used to it. We didn't have that. And then August, there was that stretch of 7 days where it was just miserable. Yeah, and we weren't ready for it. I feel like our bodies hadn't acclimated to the heat.
Yeah, and my husband and I actually attended a concert at the fair during that heat wave.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my Lanta. I probably regretted that. It was so hot. They even had buses, like the Springfield Transit buses, pulled up to the side of the track for cooling stations. It was that hot.
Really? Holy cow. Whoa, man. Dang. Well, yeah, we're at least out of that.
Yes.
It's like the first time I can remember where September actually feels like September. This weekend it was a little toasty, but whatever.
Yeah, but the mornings are cool. And I broke out the long sleeves. You're still in shorts and t-shirts.
It's so hot in the studio when I walk in the morning still. I can't. Plus, okay, now I got to ask you this. When does fall start for you? Does the weather dictate it? Does the calendar? What when does fall start for you?
I think it's a combination of the two. Like I said, I'm a summer girl at heart, so I try to hold on to that as long as absolute possible.
Yeah.
But when it comes to decorating for fall and things like that, honestly, at this point in my life, my kids dictate that because they're like, Mom, when are we going to get the fall decorations out? Or when are we going to start shopping for Halloween costumes and whatnot? So they're the ones that kind of start to dictate that a little bit. I don't have a specific weekend or something like that I'm like, okay, now it's officially fall.
It's not like the Saturday after the Thanksgiving, you've got the Christmas stuff.
Yes, absolutely. Christmas is a little different. I love Christmas. I don't know. I look forward to the Pork and Apple Festival and things like that are happening. So for me, when the fall festivals and things like that start happening, I start to get that feel like it's time.
Oh man, I went over to Leroy for their fall festival a few weeks ago. Those poor people had that heat wave, that massive heat wave.
It doesn't go together.
No, that whole week. I felt so bad for them, but anyways, we got to get into community action business. We can't just talk about fall all the time. As much as I would love to, we cannot talk about fall for an hour. So let's dive into LIHEAP season. Is right around the corner. This kind of ushers in fall a little bit, I guess. So how about LIHEAP? What's going on?
Yeah, so there are some changes this year, and I noticed, we've gotten some phone calls already of people that are like, what's going on? Why is this different? And so our state grant actually dictates when we start the program, when we end the program, how we do the program, what the process is like. And they made some changes this year that actually the LIHEAP program year doesn't even start until October 2nd. We're normally September 1. Ready to go. So we have a whole month delay. But the good news is that they are going to extend the program year. Normally May 31st, we're done. And so it will extend through the end of August this year. So people that are, looking more towards that summer cooling type of bill help will actually be able to utilize that program if they're eligible. So there is some good and bad of that. The other thing that's different, and we've been telling people because that last couple of years, it's been first come, first serve. If you call and make an appointment, doesn't matter your situation, your household situation, we're scheduling you an appointment. We're going back to priority periods. So you are only eligible to schedule an appointment if you are in that priority period. Okay. So I really stress that because all of the phone calls for all of our counties come into our Lincoln office, there's one receptionist. So if you are not part of the priority period, we really ask for you to be respectful and not try to call to schedule an appointment, because then that gets everybody confused. And then the people that really need the appointment can't get through and whatnot. So just be respectful of that. I will also mention that it's verified. So, if you think maybe you're going to like pull the wool over somebody's eyes and say, oh yeah, I'm eligible for that, we do verify that. So, we will find out against eventually if that's not really the case.
Okay.
So the October 2nd priority period that will start is person 60 years and older, somebody or households that receive SSI or SSA, so disability, and then anyone that has children under the age of 6 in the home.
Okay.
So if you fall into that category, you are eligible for services starting October 2nd.
All right.
To get ahead of the game, starting September 18th, we will be starting to schedule appointments for that period. Now, no appointments will happen before October 2nd, but we are going to start putting appointments on the calendar starting September 18th.
All right. So keep those dates in mind.
Yes.
Because I venture a guess, this is a type of program. If you don't get in early, you're going to have to really wait.
Yes. And it is first come, first serve. It is also based on county availability because we only have so much staff. So, some days they're in DeWitt County, some days they're in Payette County, depends on when they're there. And so sometimes we have to say, well, we only have 2 days a week in DeWitt County. So even though you've called early on, you're already pushed out, 3 weeks or whatnot.
Yeah, sure.
So be patient with us. We are truly doing the best we can. I will remind you I think we talked about this at the end of the program season last year, but our staff is amazing. They were rated top in the state for application to benefit. So trust me when I'm telling you, they are doing the best they can. They're doing everything they can to make sure that you receive money that you are eligible for to help you pay for your utility bills. And they are getting you in as fast as possible. And they are packing appointments. So, they're not taking an hour to do an appointment. They're packing them in and doing a lot in a day.
Right. So, Breann, let's remind folks for folks out there that have been through the process before, I'm sure they're well aware of what LIHEAP is. Maybe there's someone either new to community action, new to just the community in general, they're seeking assistance, or there's just folks out there listening and they don't know what LIHEAP is. What's LIHEAP?
Yeah. So LIHEAP is a state program that basically is energy assistance that allow people to apply for a program that receives state money to help them pay for their utility bill. Typically, it's an electric bill, Ameren or Menard Electric or whatever the case may be. We did start a couple years ago, 2 years ago, helping with sewer and a couple other utilities. But our main one has always been electric and gas. So, or propane, whatever the case may be for your own home. So it does help that there is a verified process that has to happen. So again, for anybody that's listening that doesn't know what the program is, or maybe has never utilized the program, we do verify. So there is a requirement. They have to provide income. They have to provide their pay stubs for the last 30 days. And that is for everyone in the household. So even if the homeowner is the only one that's like, oh, I'm the one that pays the bill. Well, if there are other people living in the house that also have a job or whatever, like it's based on everybody.
Okay.
As well as verifying social security numbers for everyone in the household, their current bill. And then we have direct access to the Ameren portal. And so we can look and see whatever we need to see. Like, have they been making payments? Have they been paying their bill? Have they not been paying their bill? Is it a late fee? Whatever the case may be.
Okay. Now, are there stipulations like that within this in terms of household income? Are you is it negligent on your bill? Are you behind? Is your bill in good standing, and what's the need for, what are some of the criteria, I guess, to meet for this?
Absolutely. So eligibility is income based. And that divides out depending on how many people you have in the household.
Okay.
So if you're a single person and you make enough money that makes you, out of income or over income, then you're not eligible. But if you have 4 people living in the household and overall the income starts to spread out even more, like maybe you're the only one that has income and you would normally be over income, as a single person, but with 2 or 3 or 4 people living in the household, you now are eligible. So it's all based on income of the household, how many people are living in the household. Now, most of the people that are coming us for help are defaulted on their bill. They haven't paid their bill. So that's not I guess what I want to say, like a deal breaker for us, because typically that's who's coming to us because they're unable to pay their bill for whatever reason. So it really is income based. And there's I'm not the magic wand of this, but there's all these different stipulations of how they say, like, okay, based on your income and based on how many people you have in your household, you receive X percentage of assistance.
Okay.
So in some cases, we could cover your whole bill. In some cases, we won't be able to cover your whole bill.
Right.
And so those are some times where we have to say, like, you have to make a good faith payment in order for us to reconnect you or to be able to pay your bill.
Yeah, and I know they did away with disc, or they did away with the postponement of disconnections, right? So now people are disconnected and those sorts of things.
Yeah, and that's the phone calls I feel like we're getting a lot lately, especially with the program year starting a month late. Is they're like, well, I'm disconnected. Well, we're in the middle of a program, like we're in a gap of a program year. And like I said, our grant dictates that. So if we would spend money out of our grant for something in September, like we're doing that wrong. Like we're basically out of compliance of our grant. So it's not that we don't want to help you. It's not that we don't have a heart to help you. It's literally that we can't help you.
Yeah, sure.
And so we do stress that a lot, but we've been stressing that for years. I mean, when COVID hit and they said, okay, we're going to postpone disconnections, we were telling people, like, don't rely on that. Like, we don't know how long that's going to go.
Right.
Because eventually, if you rely on that and you stop paying your bill because you're like, oh, I'm not going to get disconnected. Once they decide that they're going to start disconnecting again, it's disconnected immediately.
Right.
So like, then you're, sometimes $1,000, $2,000, even more behind on your electric bill. And then they're like, well, I'm disconnecting you because we decided to do that again.
Yeah, right. Real quick, when it comes to people that come in for the assistance, I venture a guess the need is pretty immediate.
Yes.
But in the case it isn't, as the, like, do people come or can they, when they come to you, say, I want to utilize this assistance like December, January, February, when the year is the coldest, the utility bills are the highest. Are they able to maneuver that way so that they get that assistance at that time, rather than, let's say they're contacting you in October, but they don't want the assistance until, like I said, the winter time?
Absolutely. And that's something that I think sometimes they don't realize, but we try to say, like, okay, if if you're worried about your bill in December, or you're worried about your bill in January when it's freezing cold outside, you may not be eligible twice. And in most cases, you're not eligible twice. You're only eligible one time for assistance, but that depends on how much assistance you receive the first time. Because if you don't get your full eligibility the first time, you have a little extra left that you can maybe use a second time.
Okay.
But not everybody can do that. So if you come in October because you're like, oh my gosh, I haven't been able to pay my bill and I got to get in the appointment really, really quickly, like, you may utilize all of that eligibility in October. And then when it's January, you're stuck because you don't have any other assistance left. So think about that too. Like, if kind of month to month what your bill looks like, and there's going to be a month that your bill is going to be higher and more significant, maybe wait to have that appointment. Or when you call and say, can I just go ahead and make a January appointment? I mean, we're very flexible there. We want you to be smart about it and make smart choices, because there are going to be times where it's going to be more significant.
Yeah. All right. Good advice there for sure. Where do folks go to learn about all this and the dates to keep in mind, Breann?
So our website is a great place to start, capsule.info. And then our Facebook page is updated daily. And then if you need to talk to somebody directly, it's 732-2159.
And the dates to keep in mind are?
September 18th, we will start scheduling appointments for the first priority period of starting October 2nd. And that's for 60 years and older, disabled households, or kids under 6.
Easy enough. Breann Titus, Director of Agency Development, our guest in studio with Community Action this morning. More to come with Breann coming up on the WHOW Morning Show.
WHOW.
New Buick inventory is arriving daily. This is Scott Baum from Baum Chevrolet Buick here in Clinton. We want to listen and understand your transportation needs. Our Buick lineup has many new models to choose from, like the right-size Buick GX to the mid-size Buick Envision, and our premium crossover, the Buick Enclave. We can help you find the right one for you. See our in production and in transit tab for all inventory inbound. BombChevyBuick.com. Right from the start.
Do you know what to do when a car is pulled over on the side of the road?
Get over!
First, reduce your speed. Second, change lanes if possible. Third, proceed with caution. These 3 simple steps can be the difference between life and death.
What if it's you that's on the side of the road? Do you want everybody to move over for you?
Do the right thing. Slow down, move over, and drive like your life and their life depends on it.
If you're looking for a local, full or part-time job in Central Illinois, there's an easy place to go to find current job openings. It's IllinoisJobPost.com. That's IllinoisJobPost.com. You'll find jobs available near you. And the best part is that it's free for candidates to access 24/7. If you want a local job when you don't have to spend a lot of money on gas to get to, then you want access to IllinoisJobPost.com to check out current local job openings. That web address again is IllinoisJobPost.com. Another service from your friends at the Miller Media Group.
CEO Paul Scarron here from Warner Hospital and Health Services in Clinton. Our trained physical therapists offer quality, compassionate care close to home. Find out more by clicking our icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
For the latest in Central Illinois agricultural news, visit IllinoisFarmRadio.com. Get updated information on markets, weather, ag news, local interviews with NAFB farm broadcaster Jared White, and much, much more. All at IllinoisFarmRadio.com.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Once again, a good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. My guest in studio today is Breann Titus, Director of Agency Development for Community Action. And Breann, I know some kind of unfortunate happenings in Piatt County right now for the folks that rely on Head Start services there. What's going on?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you follow our Facebook page at all, you've probably noticed that we had some issues in our Piatt County classroom, and we were unable to open the classroom for the new school year.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that I follow our Facebook very closely and follow comments and whatnot, and there's been some disappointment. And I agree with that. As a staff, we are disappointed.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, we have really struggled in Piatt since the last school year to find staff that is not only dedicated to the job, but also is qualified.
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking off air that our ratios in the classroom are so much more strict than in the school district. So every single classroom has to have 3 teachers present at one time.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got usually a teacher, and then we've got usually a classroom assistant, and then usually a teacher assistant.
Mm-hmm.
They all 3 have to be available and present in the classroom at all times. So we're not just hiring 1 teacher to open a classroom. We're hiring 3 teachers to open a classroom.
Right.
And so with the, national teacher shortage, we have been struggling to find people to staff that classroom. So unfortunately, that made us make a difficult decision to not open that classroom.
Right.
Now we have offered, to, as soon as we have a teacher, we're going to open. We've offered some outside assistance, as well as like, what can we do for you in the meantime?
Mm-hmm.
And we understand that it was kind of a late notice decision due to the fact that we had some staff hired. And then by the time the following Monday rolled around, they were no longer employed in the agency. They made decisions to leave. And that made it even harder because we were making decisions last minute, and we had parents that were like, well, we've given up spots elsewhere, to be able to start this program. So I think publicly, we just want to apologize for the way that we had to make that decision, the way that it was maybe late notice for some families, and just to really share that it was a difficult decision. It was not a decision we wanted to make. And if it was up to us, we would have opened the classroom. And we do intend to do that. We've gotten questions like, well, are you even trying to find staff? Like, we are. We have it posted on several different hiring websites, Indeed, our own website. We share it on social media as much as we can. But the guidelines to be a teacher for a Head Start classroom is also strict. So, you know, you got to make sure you find somebody that's qualified and that is going to stay.
Right. And on top of that, you know, whereas maybe you can't offer a course at a school because you just don't have one teacher, you can't offer a classroom because you don't have 3 staff. That's, you know, you're tripling what a public school or other entity would need.
Absolutely, which is a positive to Head Start in most cases because there's much more one-on-one environment. There's much more hands-on with the children. So as far as like what Head Start stands for, it's a huge positive to have multiple people in the classroom at once. This is the downside. And so, you know, and when it comes to how we've got staff, you know, within Head Start that possibly could sub, you know, here and there, but not full time. I mean, they have their full-time jobs already. And, you know, we can't necessarily rely that we're going to have enough people that have other full-time jobs within the Head Start program that can sub on a full-time basis.
Right.
And so we do that periodically. Like if somebody's going to be out, we make sure it happens so the classroom can open. But in this situation, it would have been a full-time sub for somebody who's already employed in a full-time position.
Sure. Breann, I hate to do this to you. We're coming up on our last minute together. Did I miss anything in that conversation you want to put out there? Anything else going on in the world of community action to mention real fast?
The only thing I would say is that we still have several positions available. You know, obviously our Pyatt classroom, we need some teachers there. So please go to our website at capsule.info. Look at the human resources page. There's several positions available, not only in Clinton, but also in some of our other counties. So double check that. Follow our Facebook page because, like I said, updated every day. Questions, 217-732-2159.
Easy enough. You get to it all, Breann. We appreciate you making time for us. Breann Titus is the Director of Agency Development for Community Action. Our guest in studio. The morning show streams to Facebook and YouTube. It's brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin insurance agent in Clinton. Network news on the way.
WHOW.